When I found out that my wife had been secretly dating another man behind my back, I had a fierce argument with him. But after I went blind, Liu Ruyan was filled with deep sorrow. She held me in her arms repeatedly, her heart aching for me. Time and time again, she embraced me with a heavy heart. In the end, she resolutely resigned from her position as the director, insisting on donating her own cornea to me. Yu Chen, don't be afraid. I will make sure you never face any misfortune. Even if I can no longer see, I will still be able to accompany you for the rest of your life. Hearing her gentle and determined words of reassurance, I simply smiled, but said nothing. She didn't know. That's right. She would indeed never see me again. After the follow-up check at the hospital, I didn't wait for Liu Ruyan. Instead, I fumbled my way out on my own. The nurses in the ophthalmology department were gossiping in the hallway. Breaking news! Director Liu is resigning. Your news is so slow. The head nurse sneered. Her husband's eyes can't be cured, so she's going to donate her own cornea to him. She's truly a perfect wife. The entire leadership of the hospital was shaken. They're having a special meeting today just for her case. Are they trying to persuade Director Liu? How could they possibly change her mind? She's already risked her life for her husband before. The nurses murmured in envy. I walked by them, sighed deeply in my heart. Everyone in the hospital knew that Director Liu loved her husband more than life itself. Once I had contracted an unknown viral pneumonia, and she disregarded the hospital's objections to save me. She insisted on entering the isolation ward to take care of me. And she said to me, even if I can't get through this, I'll die with you. In the end, I recovered. But she fell ill, and her infection was far worse than mine. When her life hung by a thread, she could no longer speak, and could only scrawl on paper with a trembling hand. The nurse handed me the note, and I shakily lifted it while lying in bed, staring at it for a long time. It was just 2 words. Chen, love. It was just like she had whispered to me countless times before. Death could not change her care for me. That time, the hospital almost lost its youngest candidate for director. When she woke up, her skin had turned a deep black. To keep me from worrying, she joked with me, just like when we were children. Chen, look at me now. Don't I look like a big piece of charcoal? Isn't it just like the antique you love? We grew up together in the orphanage, considering each other our life. At 35, she was promoted to director, a special case, and I became a prominent figure in the field of archaeology. But this was the one thing she never supported me in. After all, archaeology was dangerous. She just wanted to live a peaceful life with me. I always thought we could spend our lives together side by side. But I forgot. People do change. A month ago, I received a message from her puppy assistant. Through my blurry vision, I saw a photo of a naked man and woman. And the man's voice declared Liu Ruyan's betrayal to me. Only then did I realize that on the nights she claimed to be working overtime at the hospital, she was actually spending them with him. From that point on, whenever they were passionate, Su Nangsing would send me pictures and voice messages, boasting about their encounters, and I could only try to keep my eyes open, though they could barely see the light anymore. I just stared blankly at the screen. I thought that she would hold back when she was with me. But just a moment ago, Liu Ruyan, with countless warnings, helped me into the ophthalmology examination room, then turned around and began her physical entanglement with Su Nangsing in the next room. Listening to the sounds Su Nangsing secretly recorded through the headphones, I knew our love had long since disappeared. I fumbled my way back home and video called my senior. Senior, you can come and pick me up now. Have you really made up your mind? This time, the archaeological team is going to the desert, and it's a global secret collaboration. Once I join, I may never come back. I held the divorce agreement I had prepared in my hand, shaking it. I don't need to come back. Without father, without mother, without children, and now with no remaining ties to hold me back, I can truly surrender myself, as long as you promise to restore my sight. From now on, the only thing I will do with the rest of my life is archaeology. Okay, don't worry. We have the latest technology that's perfect for you. Tomorrow night, I'll come to pick you up. After hanging up the phone, I put the divorce agreement in the drawer. Liu Ruyan rushed in, out of breath. Lin Yukin, why did you leave by yourself? Do you want to drive my mom crazy with worrying? Seeing me sitting safely at home, Liu Ruyan let out a sigh of relief. Her tone softened. Yukin, do you know how terrified I was when I couldn't find you? I called your phone and you didn't answer. I was so scared. What are you afraid of? If you really cared about me, you wouldn't have left the examination room. I was worried that you might be in danger. You've always been so reckless since you were a child. Now your eyesight is poor, and everywhere could be dangerous for you. She gently held my hand, placing it on the new desk that had just arrived today. Shen, have you seen the new desk? It's all soft leather edges. The surface is padded with sponge. I touched it and shook my head. This isn't even a desk anymore. It's more like a soft sofa. Since my eyesight failed, she had started to rearrange the furniture. At first, she moved all the chairs and tables from the living room to the balcony. Then, after studying for a while, she bought a huge batch of baby safety corner pads. At home, but when she saw me tapping around the house with my guide stick, she became anxious again. No! I still can't feel at ease. Forget it. I'll just throw everything out and replace it with new stuff. I was left dumbfounded, a little overwhelmed. Are you crazy? In the end, I couldn't argue with her, and reluctantly agreed. So, the tables, chairs, and even the bed. One by one, she replaced them all with special soft materials, till there was not a single sharp-edged item left in the house. She finally stopped, satisfied. The table was the hardest to get, but now it was here. It's so perfect. Now, I don't have to worry about you getting hurt at home anymore. She hugged me joyfully and tried to kiss me. I gently pushed her away. Although I couldn't see clearly, I could smell it. The scent of another man's cologne on her. You smell awful. She awkwardly smiled. I'll go wash it off. Wait for me, darling. My hand rested on the drawer, thinking about when I would give her the divorce agreement. Just then, I received another message on my phone. I put on my headphones. Director Liu has gone back. You didn't hear the recording just now, did you? Do you know how captivating she is with me? I've seen Su Nangsing already. Just in his 20s. Young, handsome, smart, and charming. What woman wouldn't like him? What right do you have to take her cornea? Are you going to ruin her bright future? You really have some nerve. She's long stopped loving you. She hasn't told you yet, has she? Her womb has fully recovered. She can have children now. I thought I wouldn't react, but when I heard the word children, my heart involuntarily contracted. Growing up in the orphanage, both she and I longed for a blood-related connection deep within us. But after that viral infection, we've never been able to have children. After trying every possible method, we finally gave up. Yukin, don't be sad. When we're old, let's go adopt some children. Why not now? She held me tightly. That would disturb our world of two. I pushed her away. You're getting old. And still so cheesy. I thought that we, the two of us, had long transcended the bond of blood. Her figure was deeply etched in my memories from childhood to adulthood. At 16, she was the first to warm me with her body and promised me, Yukin, this life of mine belongs only to you. I will always be good to you. All these years, she never let anyone, or anything come before me. But it turns out, the matter of children, she never let go of. In that moment, I suddenly felt that the woman I had loved for half my life was so unfamiliar. Su Nangsing's voice continued. She always told me not to wear protection, saying she wanted to give me a baby, though she had already decided to leave for good. At this moment, my heart ached like a knife was twisting inside it. A single tear unknowingly rolled down my cheek. I threw the phone aside, desperately trying to convince myself, this is the last time I'll cry for her before I leave. Her cornea. I never intended to take it. I don't want her. I don't want her anymore. As I lay in bed, Liu Ruyan carefully came over and tucked the blanket around me, then quietly started gathering her clothes. She closed the bathroom door. I knew she was washing my underwear. A pair of hands that once held a scalpel, now doing the heavy work of washing clothes and cooking every day at home, while I didn't even lift a finger. All these years, she did it willingly. Yuckin! From now on, you're never allowed to suffer again. All those years, she carried red, white, and blue plastic bags, neatly tying our pots and pans with ropes, moving with me from place to place, from the orphanage to a tiny rented room, to our very first home, and now to this villa. She had carefully built this warm place for me, but now she was the one walking away from it. The next day, Liu Ruyan gave me a few instructions, then left for the hospital. I didn't care who she was seeing at the hospital, or what she was doing. I had already stopped caring. The last day, I had no intention of going out. I was preparing to pack up at home. I stumbled upon the first doll she gave me. Though it was small and cheap, it was cleaned so well, quietly placed at the top of the bookshelf. And there were the love letters she wrote to me, and the gifts she gave me. I left none behind. I threw everything into the trash can. Even the only photo of us from the orphanage, I discarded without a second thought. When she came back, she noticed the emptiness in the house. Worried, she asked me, Yuckin, what did you throw away? I smiled. Nothing. Just some useless things. She came over and helped me sit on the sofa. Your eyes aren't well. If you want to tidy up the house, you can wait for me to come back. She placed my suitcase aside, her tone carrying a slight smile. Yes, it's about time to tidy up. Today, the hospital leadership finally agreed. We'll be able to perform the surgery soon. After the surgery, we'll need to stay in the hospital together for a while. She gently placed her hand on my eyes. My eyes will soon be inside your body. It feels so magical. I could feel the warmth from her hand on my eyes. I wanted to move away, but her hand stubbornly stayed on my face. Even if I can't see anymore, I can still take care of you. I answered, but I still. Without me, you probably won't even be able to eat your meals. She always teased me about things from our childhood, always treating me like a child, teasing, pampering, protecting. But this time, I didn't feel like laughing and accepting it as usual. Instead, I forcefully pulled her hand away. Her tone was a little anxious. You don't still disagree, do you? I've said before, there's no room for negotiation on this. She probably thought I was going to oppose her giving me her cornea again. She became agitated. If you won't accept my eyes, I'll blind myself. I'll be your blind companion. I knew she meant it. But her relationship with Su Nangsing was real too. Thinking about how tonight I could finally leave, I gave up on struggling. I was finally going to leave. No longer would I have to search for her true feelings between this extreme pampering and utter betrayal. This sense of dissonance was driving me mad. She held me tightly, murmuring in my ear, Yuckin, just endure a little longer. We'll be able to restore things soon. She seemed to sense my sadness, but she pretended to be cheerful, trying to please me. Today I bought your favorite dishes. I'll cook for you. We'll have a nice meal at home. I nodded. Let this be the last meal before I leave. I put on my headphones, listening to the electronic contract my senior sent me. Ms. Lin Yukin, once you officially sign the agreement, you will come to us with a new identity. Tonight at 10, I'll come to pick you up. Please be at the designated place on time. The voice announcing the successful signing of the agreement finished. I put down my phone. Let's part ways without lingering. From now on, there will be no more Lin Yukin in this world. And as for Liu Ryan, she will never see me again. When the last dish was brought to the table, Liu Ryan had already been busy for 2 full hours. She placed the chopsticks in my palm, carefully removing the fish bones, placing the fish meat into my bowl. I took out the box I had prepared long ago and handed it to her. Inside was my wedding ring and the divorce agreement. Yukin, did you prepare a gift for me? Consider it a gift. Liu Ryan became excited. It was always her who gave me gifts to make me happy. I rarely gave her anything. She said that as long as I was with her, it was the most precious gift for her. The most precious. Actually, there was also our wedding ring. I had found it in an antique market, spending all my savings on it. And its real value was worth more than 10 million. Now I left it for Liu Ryan as equivalent compensation for the material life she had given me over the years. She should understand, people like us, by nature, are lonely, and we keep a "you owe me nothing, I owe you nothing" attitude toward everyone. But things between us used to be different, and now nothing really has changed. Wait! I'll wash my hands first before we continue. Liu Ryan stood up, smiling happily. There were plenty of fish remnants left on her hands. She hummed a little tune softly. For a moment, it felt like she was that carefree girl from the past again. But I would no longer be that carefree boy standing by her side, waiting for her as I once did. What would her reaction be when she saw what was in the box? With her temperament, she might erupt in anger, or feel so ashamed that she might contemplate ending it all. But none of that happened. Just as she returned to me, the doorbell rang. She opened the door. Su Nangxing walked in. Dean Liu. Chen Jie. Did I interrupt anything? I have some handover materials. I need your signature urgently. Liu Ryan didn't let him enter the house, but instead made him stand at the door. She said impatiently, "Who told you to come here? Take your things and go. I'll go to the hospital tomorrow." Su Nangxing pressed his body against Liu Ryan's, slowly inching past her, sliding inside. "Chen Jie, I haven't eaten yet. Would you mind if I ate here?" He made himself comfortable, sitting down. I watched them without expression, my eyes only able to make out 2 blurred figures, seemingly shoving each other. "Su Nangxing," I said, "don't discuss work at my house. If you don't leave, don't blame me for throwing you out." Su Nangxing answered, with an ingratiating tone. "Dean Liu, I heard you're about to have surgery soon. I'm really worried. I just wanted to make sure you thought it over carefully." Liu Ryan's tone was sharp as she replied, "This is my personal matter. When did it become your place to boss around?" Su Nangxing yelled at me. "Chen Jie, if Dean Liu loses her eyesight, what will your whole family do? How could you be so cruel to take her eyes?" Slap! Liu Ryan slapped Su Nangxing across the face. Su Nangxing started crying. He thought I couldn't see anything anymore. He undid his shirt and pushed against Liu Ryan. As Liu Ryan raised her hand again, it stopped in mid-air. "Dean, I'm just concerned about you. I don't have any other intentions. You don't have to care about me, but some things you absolutely must care about." He placed his hand on Liu Ryan's stomach and then rushed out the door. Liu Ryan paused, holding her hand, thinking for a long time, before closing the door and trying to explain to me, "He's just a young graduate. He doesn't understand anything. Don't take his words to heart." I said faintly, but she seemed distracted, finishing her meal quickly. Before preparing to leave, there's an emergency at the hospital. I'll be back soon. Take care while I'm gone. After she left, I sat for a while, then put my phone down next to the gift box she had forgotten, and went out to get in my senior sister's car. She didn't come to send you off. Egg chicken. I imagined the showdown. The noise. Goodbye. Nothing happened. The silence of fate seemed to mock the first half of my life. And then, I would face a new life ahead of me. Yuckin! From the orphanage. I just watched you two together. It's been 30 years now. Can you really bear it? Senior who grew up in the orphanage with me. She shares the same interests as I do, but she spends most of her time immersed in various ancient tombs. It's hard to see her even once a year. I didn't answer her. Instead, I just gazed at the distant lights outside. I heard she wanted to give you her corneas. Aren't you going to give her a chance to explain? I gave a bitter smile. Would you let her explain if you heard the sound of your wife in bed with another? Senior replied, fine, as if I hadn't said anything. I, a single guy, can't truly understand Liu Ruyan's intentions toward me. Everyone who knows her can tell. Even the people in the hospital gossip about it. It even caught Su Nangsing's attention. In the voice message he sent me, he carefully described how they started. At that time, Liu Ruyan and I had just escaped death's door. We were still recovering in the hospital. Su Nangsing, as a resident doctor, gave us injections and care every day. He teased Liu Ruyan, knowing full well the virus could kill. Yet she still went to accompany her husband. Wasn't that risking both of their lives? Liu Ruyan held back her cough and shouted at him to stop. She yelled loudly, stop it. What nonsense are you talking? To say that in front of my husband? You must be tired of your job. She was very serious. She called for the department head, demanding that Su Nangsing be fired. A boy who had just started his career. I had never seen such a scene before. I was instantly flustered. In our hospital room, she begged and kneeled. Then she brought up her brother's urgent need for money in the ICU. Liu Ruyan, seeing that she had lost both her parents at a young age and was also taking care of a sick brother, felt a pang of compassion. That's when she forgave him. He became even more devoted to taking care of Liu Ruyan. During the time when Liu Ruyan couldn't get out of bed, he was the one who helped her with everything, even the most unpleasant tasks. The dirty work, the exhausting work. He was always the first to volunteer. Unexpectedly, he later became Liu Ruyan's assistant and found an opportunity to get her drunk, and then got into bed with her. Liu Ruyan, of course, had countless chances to turn back, to confess everything to me, but she didn't. She kept seeking Su Nangsing again and again, enjoying herself with him over and over. After her uterus healed, she became even more reckless. How could I possibly give her another chance? Senior saw that I didn't want to talk about Liu Ruyan anymore, so she began to discuss something else. Your case has been reviewed by the higher-ups. It turns out you don't need a corneal transplant. We will perform a surgery on you instead. We'll implant a chip into your brain and give you smart glasses. From now on, the scenes you see will be naturally projected into your brain. They've already conducted human trials. It was very successful. Don't worry. In addition to having the ability to gather archaeological experts from all over the world, the institution she belongs to also covers the medical field, the political world, and has even contributed many outstanding talents and resources to the country. Now they are part of a mysterious organization under state management. By joining them, I could return to my area of expertise, doing what I truly love. For me, it seems like the best choice. Senior, thank you for everything you've done for me. I won't disappoint you. My eyesight is about to be restored, and my life is about to restart. Lin Yukin had already flown far away. On the table, her phone received two messages. One was from Liu Ruyan, Yuckin! There's been a problem with the surgery preparation. We might have to wait another year. The other one was from Su Nangsing. She's pregnant now. Liu Ruyan won't give you her corneas anymore. If you still have any shame, just go die already. Whether it was her guilt or his boasting, the owner of the phone would never see it again. Liu Ruyan wandered around outside the entire day and didn't return home until the third night. She wanted to explain everything to Lin Yukin face to face, but as soon as she opened the door, she was plunged into complete darkness. Yukin, why haven't you turned on the lights? What's wrong? Liu Ruyan hurriedly pressed the light switch, but couldn't find Lin Yukin anywhere in the room. In the past, no matter where Lin Yukin went, he would always tell her, but this kind of situation had never happened before, especially since he couldn't see anymore. Liu Ruyan, worried, rushed out of the house, hurrying to the hospital. Did Lin Yukin think she was still working overtime? Did he go to the hospital to look for her? Ever since his eyesight failed, he hadn't even gone to the archaeological team. The phone you dialed is currently unavailable. She made countless calls on the way, but the phone went from unanswered to turned off. Clearly, Lin Yukin's phone had run out of battery from her calls. When she finally arrived at the hospital, she still couldn't find any trace of Lin Yukin. She asked everyone on duty that day, but no one had seen Lin Yukin at the hospital. Su Nangsing also arrived at the hospital, his expression full of secret delight. He was still trying to comfort her. Ruyan, maybe Brother Chen is just in a bad mood, and went out to clear his head. When Liu Ruyan saw him, her anger flared even more. If it weren't for you going to my house, he would never have done this. He must have noticed something. Su Nangsing grew a little irritated, grabbing her arm. You said you were going to lay everything out with him. Now that he knows, isn't it more convenient? Liu Ruyan forcefully shook off his hand. Shut up. Who do you think you are? She gritted her teeth. You'd better not show up in front of us again, or I'll kill you. Liu Ruyan had completely changed from her usual gentle self. She recreated the frenzied look she had at the orphanage, the desperate struggle she had when she and Lin Yukin were bullied by the other children. It was the same frantic effort to fight back. Su Nangsing was startled by her expression and dared not speak. He thought to himself, once Liu Ruyan has the baby, will she still treat me this way? Liu Ruyan quickly briefed her colleagues at the hospital, then, almost mad with worrying, rushed home. It's all my fault. I was too hasty. I sent him that message. He must think I don't want him anymore. She tried to comfort herself. Yukin must have gone home. She opened the door again, trembling as she called out her lover's name in the dark. But no one answered. This time, she saw the unopened gift box on the table and the phone with no battery. Liu Ruyan fought to hold back the overwhelming urge to break down. She charged the phone, and unread messages began to pop up one by one. It turned out, Lin Yukin hadn't seen any of their messages. But when did he start communicating with Su Nangsing? She opened the conversation with Su Nangsing, staring in shock at one, two, hundreds of messages, all filled with disturbing pictures from the bed, shameful voice recordings, and Su Nangsing's repeated threats. Liu Ruyan clutched her phone, trembling uncontrollably, her hand reaching up to pull at her hair in distress. She could hardly imagine how Lin Yukin had ever. She had deceived him again and again. After gently caring for him, she would immediately go to another man's bed. Liu Ruyan felt like she wanted to kill herself. She searched every possible place where Lin Yukin might have gone, but it was as if Lin Yukin had vanished from this world, leaving no trace behind. Liu Ruyan knew, other than herself, Lin Yukin had no other family. But they did have one mutual friend, her senior. But she couldn't get in touch with her senior. So she waited in desperation at the archaeological team where he used to work, begging, "Please, just send a message to Yukin. Tell him I know I was wrong and ask him to meet me. Senior, please don't come anymore." Lin Yukin hadn't even come to the team. They couldn't find him anywhere. At first, the team members pitied her. But later, whenever they saw her, they scolded her. "When he was here, you didn't cherish him. So what's the point of looking for him now?" Liu Ruyan ignored it all, going to anyone she could, hoping someone would help her. She hadn't been to the hospital in over half a year, and she had already terminated Su Nangxing's child. But Su Nangxing, like stubborn gum, clung to her tightly. Unable to hold back, he went to Liu Ruyan's house again. "Ruyan, are you going to hide at home for the rest of your life?" Liu Ruyan's eyes were bloodshot. "It's you. It's all because of you that Yukin left." Su Nangxing looked at the woman before him, filthy and reeking. No trace of the exquisite woman she once was. Su Nangxing felt a pang of bitterness. The woman he had worked so hard to win over, who had kept his corneas, was still soulfully lost to another man. He stepped forward, whispering gently in her ear, "Ruyan, can't you think of our baby? After she's born, the three of us will never be apart again." Liu Ruyan glared at him fiercely. "The bastard you're talking about, I had already gotten rid of. Don't worry, I will never give you a child in this lifetime." With that, she slapped Su Nangxing across the face. "Why did you send Lin Yukin those messages? Why did you drive him away? You knew he was blind, and still you provoked him." She slapped him again. In her mind, there was only one thought. Lin Yukin was her whole world. No one mattered more than him. "Why did you drive him away? Why?" Su Nangxing was knocked to the ground by her. He held his face, crying, pleading for mercy. But Liu Ruyan seemed to hear nothing. She mounted Su Nangxing, and with all her strength, began hitting him relentlessly. "Anyone who hurts Yukin should die." She didn't know how long it had been. When the person beneath her went still, only then did she stand up. A strange smile crept across her face. "Yukin, I've beaten him for you. Beaten all these bad people. Hit all these bad people. Now, can I have my gift?" She walked toward the gift box. After all these days, she didn't move to open it right away. She couldn't bear to, and she was also too afraid. But now, finally, as she opened it, she found a wedding ring and a divorce agreement quietly lying inside. She couldn't hold herself back anymore. She burst into uncontrollable tears. She had kept it all in for so long. She still couldn't believe it, that Lin Yukin had really left her. But now she finally understood. Her lover was gone for good. "I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have been blinded by beauty. And I shouldn't have hidden it from you, obsessing over a child. In this life, having you is enough. Yukin, can you still hear me?" Su Nangxing had a stomach bleed from being beaten by Liu Ruyan. But in the hospital, no one sympathized with her. "This mistress is too hateful. She ruined the perfect couple in my eyes. If it were me, I would have killed him." No one expected Dean Liu to take matters into her own hands. They thought she was just in love with her husband. "I'll never believe in love again." Liu Ruyan intentionally hurt him and got sentenced to a few years. The hospital fired both Liu Ruyan and Su Nangxing. Su Nangxing went to beg Liu Ruyan's father, asking for money to treat his brother. But every time, Liu Ruyan would beat him senseless, leaving him bruised and battered. Without the financial support, Su Nangxing's brother passed away shortly after. Not long after, he too was gone. The incident was widely reported by the local media. A tragic drama of love and betrayal. It turned the entire hospital into a laughingstock. But Liu Ruyan didn't try to avoid it at all. Whenever the media came to interview, she would calmly accept it. "Why did you betray your lover? Couldn't you control your desires? I heard about your life and death story in the past. Everyone in the hospital knows about it." The reporters wanted the details. The more, the better. The more intimate the details, the more excited they became. But Liu Ruyan always told long-winded stories about her time in the orphanage and her relationship with her husband. She even acted out childhood gestures she used to do to tease her husband. Just let Yukin agree to see me. I'm sure I can get his forgiveness. She begged the reporters to air the full interview, so her husband would have a chance to see it. But gradually, no one came to interview her anymore, and no one cared to listen to her stories. She spent days, sometimes over 10 hours, waiting outside the archaeological team, her appearance becoming increasingly terrifying. The guards beat her with sticks, leaving her covered in bruises. Good. You're doing this for Yukin, right? I won't blame you. She spent all of her savings, even sold her small villa, and slept at the entrance of the archaeological team, barely clothed. No one cared anymore. No one spoke to her. She displayed the gifts and love letters she had prepared, showing them to everyone. Yukin, I've made all these things over again. We can still start over. There's no one else. Only us. She knelt on the ground, bowing to each person. Please, tell Yukin. If when Lin Yukin was determined, he could have taken a few of my gifts. Maybe he would still give me a chance. But she took nothing with her. She disappeared silently, as if the past was just a dream. And only Liu Ruyan refused to wake up. 10 years passed. I never expected to return to the city, and I never thought I would meet Liu Ruyan again. In these 10 years, my mentor and I led the team through countless hardships, cheating death time and again. The discoveries we made shook the archaeology world, pushing forward the history of human civilization by over 1,000 years. Yet my past had vanished in the dust of history. If it weren't for the rare royal tomb discovered here, my mentor and I would never have come back. As I approached the restricted zone, I saw her in the crowd of onlookers. Liu Ruyan. My mentor gently patted my back. You'll definitely run into her once you're back. Go meet her. I heard she's been looking for you for 10 years. We didn't part on good terms, but that was never my regret. I turned to leave, but Liu Ruyan couldn't contain herself, bursting out from the crowd. Yukin! The staff stopped her. This is Dr. Lin Chuang. Don't mistake her. I won't mistake her. Did you change your name? She gazed at me expectantly. I didn't answer her. What was there to say about the past? What's the point of talking about it? Through the smart glasses, her appearance materialized in my mind. It's only been 10 years, but she had already turned into a withered old woman. I shook my head. Maybe it was out of pity for her. I had someone bring her over. Yukin! I knew it was you. I've kept everything from before with me. She carefully took out a stack of things from her worn backpack and handed them to me. It was wrapped in transparent paper, with many creases, as if it had been opened and closed countless times. Some beautiful patterns peeked through. It was probably the letterhead from our youthful days. And there was a ring. She saw that I didn't take it, but she kept trying to place it in my hands. I didn't realize that I hurt you so deeply after all these years. You've been avoiding me. I smiled, pulled my hand away, and the things she had brought scattered across the floor. You misunderstood. I didn't have time to avoid you. There's no love between us. And there's no hate. It's all completely irrelevant now, because it doesn't matter. So I don't need to deny it. I am the Yukin of the past. And fortunately, I'm no longer her Yukin. A little boy came walking over with my mentor. Papa, didn't you promise to take me inside this time? I smiled and lifted her up. Of course. When did my words stop mattering? They can heal my eyes. Of course, they can also heal my body. The senior sister embraced us. She politely nodded at the disoriented Liu Ruyan. Then let's settle it this way. Goodbye. Even if I really am Lin Yukin, what does it matter? Even if she is unwilling, unable to forget the past. What does it matter? 10 years have passed. Everything in the world changes. How much more so for tiny beings like us? I was about to leave, but Liu Ruyan suddenly seemed to snap back to her senses. She shouted out loudly, "Yuckin! Even if it's to punish me. It's already been 10 years. Just give me one chance. I don't care who's around you." Saying this, she picked up a sharp object and thrust it fiercely into her own eyes. "I told you, you don't want my eyes. I'll go blind with you. For you, I would even give up my life." She smiled bitterly, stretching her hand forward, as if certain my hand was just in front of her. But no matter how hard she reached, her hand grasped nothing but air. There was nothing at all. "Yuckin, answer me. Don't leave. Give me one chance." She wept hopelessly, tears of blood staining her face, until the security guards dragged her away. She was still screaming in heart-wrenching agony. Yuckin, that name, now so unfamiliar to her, and Lin Chuang had long since left with his wife and children. Maybe this is better. No misunderstandings, no more suspense, no need to search, no need to wait. That boy could never belong to her again. He belonged to his new lover, and to the flourishing career he was building. The end.